Welcome to the channel, everyone. This video I'm going to talk about guide coat. Now I've got two different kinds here, a powdered kind and a spray-on kind. And this is something that's been around, well, for years. I've used it for decades. And it's one of those things that you just kind of take for granted. Everybody knows what it is. I've had a few comments and guys would ask what I was using. And that's why I didn't explain it. I just kind of figured everybody knew what it was. So I'm going to talk about this today, tell its uses and the difference between the two different kinds. Okay, first let me explain what this guide coat does and why you need it. Let's say this is just a cross section of your material. It could be bondo, it could be primer, it could be factory paint. Anytime you sand it, and it doesn't matter what grit, 80 grit, 220, 400, you're going to put all these little scratches in there. The top surface is just going to be a series of little scratches like sawtooth. So if you start with, say you're using 220 and you want to cut these scratches out of here from 180, you have to sand this surface all the way down to the bottom of these scratches right here. And it's hard to tell if you've got them all out until it gets painted, and then you'll see some sand scratches in there that are going to shrink up and they're going to show up. So what the guide coat does, we've got all these scratches in here. That guide coat is going to fill all these in, so when you're sanding, you can see them. And if you don't sand all the way down to the bottom of them, you're going to see this black from that guide coat that's left down in there. So you know you have to just keep sanding until all that black coating is gone, and then what you end up with is a nice uniform finish all the way across. And use this every step of the way. When you're changing sandpaper from one grit to another, you just apply another coat of guide coat on there. And when you're done, you shouldn't have any sand scratches, you shouldn't have any pinholes in your bondo. So it works great. All right, I've got this door here, and if you've watched my videos before, this is a door that I straightened. It was primed, blocked, come out perfectly straight. And then I used it on another video, I think comparing the mud buster to the inline file. So I put bondo on top of this. So what I did, I just took and buzzed it down with 80 grit on a DA just to smooth it out. I'm going to take 80 grit on my hand sander and go over this. I'll put some guide coat on there, and then I'll hit it with 120, and we'll be able to see those scratches show up. Okay, I've got 80 grit scratches through the primer, through this bondo. And one of the things about using this powdered stuff in a container, you don't even have to clean the surface off because it comes with this foam applicator pad. That'll force the guide coat right into these scratches. And what this stuff is basically just carbon. Real light black powdery substance that'll get down in there. It kind of sticks to about everything. You can see it just turns everything a nice color of black. You don't need a lot on there, just enough to show up. Okay, now I'm going to switch to 120 and go over this. And usually I don't even use guide coat when I'm starting with 80 grit and switching to 120. Usually the sand scratches in your bondo are going to show up. You can just see them without it. But for this video, I went ahead and did it. Where you just get a better understanding of what it does. Okay, I went over this bondo with 120 on the block, and you can see, I hope you can see through the camera, all those dark scratches. Now that's the guide coat down inside the 80 grit scratches. The top surface is coming off, but it leaves that residue down in there. And that's what we're looking for. Once all the sand scratches are removed with 120, then I can apply the guide coat again, switch to 220, and just repeat the process. Okay, all the 80 grit scratches are out. Now you can see scratches from the bondo down to the primer, and that's kind of giving the same effect as a guide coat, but those are all 120 scratches now. So I'm going to put some more guide coat on here, and then I'm going to switch to 220, and I'll take it down even farther. Okay, I want to switch and talk about this spray-on guide coat. Now this is from Sim, and this stuff here, this is part number 38203, and they have a couple different kinds of guide coat. They have another one, the part number is 38253, and the difference is this kind here is a lacquer-based product, so once you spray it on, you're going to have to give it a few minutes to flash off, otherwise it's going to be tacky and gum up your paper. And the other product, 38253, that doesn't have any lacquer solvents in it, it just has a propellant, so it's basically the same thing as I have in that powdered guide coat, and when you spray it on, it comes out perfectly dry. There's no flash time, you don't have to wait for anything. But with both of these products, you have to clean this off first. Take a blowgun or vacuum, whatever you're going to use, because if you just spray it over a surface, it's covered with dust, it's not going to get down to the bottom of the scratches or the pinholes. You've just got one more step. Hit it with a blowgun, spray this on. Like I said, this kind here is a lacquer base. You're going to have to give it a minute to flash. That's really not that big of a deal, waiting a minute. Depends how many coats you're putting on. But you know, I had a comment a while back, and the guy made a lot of sense. He said a minute's a long time when you're paid in tenths. There's a lot of wisdom in that. So every time you're adding a step, it's slowing you down. So it's up to you, but this is convenient. And actually the price on this, I bought this off of Amazon, I think it was $15. The 3M product is, I believe, $51 on Amazon. So it's about 2.5, 3 times as expensive. I don't know how it works out money-wise, how much product you get, if one is economical than the other, how long it's gonna last. But those are the two options. So we're gonna show this now. I'm gonna apply a uniform coat and we'll let it set up. Okay, it's dried up about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to go over with 220 grit. Okay, so it does the same thing. You can see all the 120 scratches in here. So that stuff works good. Just give it a minute or two to dry up. But it is kind of convenient just to hit it with the spray can. I'm going to continue this with 220. Get all these scratches out of here, and then we're going to go to the DA. All right, it's all been block sanded with 220. I cleaned it off. I'm going to put another layer of the spray-on guide coat, and I'm going to take the DA with 240 and go over this, see how it comes out, but I'm not seeing any scratches right now. And I'm not worried about, I know these edges aren't tapered out right because, like I said, there was bondo on primer on bondo. All right, it's been finished up with 240 on the DA, and there's no sand scratches, no pinholes, everything come out nice. That's what we're looking for. Okay, if you're getting a surface ready for paint, there's really no benefit to use the guide coat after about 400 grit. Next, if I was going to continue with this, I'd put guide coat, hit it with 320, guide coat it again, go to 400. After that, the sand scratches are so minute, it doesn't help a whole lot because it's all going to sand off so even. It doesn't really go down on the scratches. So you just have to make sure that you sand over everything completely with whatever grit you're using to get the previous scratches out. But these are both great products. This is something that I say should be used, not maybe used sometimes here and there for certain things, but every time. And I always did. I use it on every project I do. And I hope this is enough information. A lot of people didn't know what the guide coat was for. People have been using it. Maybe they've only used one kind and not the other. Hopefully this explains that a little bit better. But anyway, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. I'm really serious. Give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.